My daughter-in-law dared to call my late wife a nobody maid and banned me from Christmas dinner because people like you ruin the vibe, but they never saw it coming. When I crashed their party, exposing 5 years of my sacrifices in front of 12 stunned guests, bringing their whole world down, total game changer from a broken dad. If this injustice fires you up, drop a like and share this story. Family means respect always. I'm Antonio Ramirez, and here's how I rose from betrayal to reclaim my dignity. I thought Christmas was supposed to bring families together, you know. There I was sinking into Javier's fancy leather couch, the one I'd helped pay for when they were upgrading their living room last year, feeling that warm glow from the twinkling lights on their 12-foot tree. It was a couple weeks before the big day, and I was excited to pitch in with my famous tamales, the kind Sofia, my late wife, used to make with that secret spice blend from her abuela. I could whip up a batch for the family dinner, I said, smiling at Javier. You remember how your mom always said they were better than anything store-bought. We could make it a tradition again. But Javier shifted like he was sitting on nails, his wedding ring catching the light like some kind of shield. He wouldn't meet my eyes, just stared at the marble coffee table I'd helped him choose when Victoria decided their old one wasn't classy enough. Dad, about Christmas, he muttered. You won't be welcome this year. Victoria's parents, Victor and Elena, are coming, and they'd prefer if you weren't here. It's just easier that way. They want a high-class vibe, no spicy Mexican peasant food or blue-collar talk that might kill the mood. What? It hit me like a gut punch. My hands went cold, and that old heart condition of mine, the one that flared up after Sophia passed 8 years ago, gave a sharp twinge like a knife twist. I'd been managing it okay, but stress from years of overtime always made it worse. I mean, I thought we were family. Blood or not, I'd raised Javier as my own, poured my soul into him. But there he was, for chuckling awkwardly. Come on, Dad, you're getting old. Don't make this complicated. His eyes flickered with a hint of guilt, like he knew he was crossing a line, but he shrugged it off anyway, too scared to rock the boat with Victoria and her snobby crowd. It was cold, that passive choice of his prioritizing their upper-crust image over the man who'd given him everything. I glanced around the room, and the betrayal sank in deeper. Those silk curtains shutting out the neighbors. I'd footed the bill when Victoria whined about privacy, maxing out my credit card like it was nothing. The gleaming hardwood floors, straight from the second mortgage on the house Sophia and I built from scratch. 5 years of automatic payments, $3,000 a month for their mortgage. That's $180,000 alone, plus over $70,000 more for down payments renovations, and those emergencies like when Javier lost his job and Victoria still needed her luxury fixes. I'd worked nights at my construction business, skipping doctor visits for my heart, even selling Sophia's wedding ring to bail them out when cash was tight. All that sacrifice thinking it was for my son's future, for family. But now, it felt like I'd built a palace where I was just the hired help, not even worthy of a seat at the table. Victoria poked her head in from the kitchen, that vanilla candle scent turning my stomach sour. She smirked, her voice all sharp edges. Dad, don't even dream of crashing our upper-crust gathering. No remorse in her eyes, just pure entitlement, driven by her need to impress her parents and keep up that fake, perfect life. I wanted to snap back, but I held my tongue, reminding myself inside, my sacrifices don't deserve this kind of disrespect. I stood up, my knees creaking from years of carrying this burden alone, and headed for the door. Javier called after me, Dad, wait! But his voice was weak, already fading as the front door clicked shut behind me. The cold December air hit my face like a slap, and I drove home in silence, my heart pounding with hurt and something new, anger. Back at my place, I slumped into my old recliner, the one Sophia used to curl up in. The house felt empty, like it was missing her soul. I thought I'd at least get a call from Javier, maybe an apology, but what I didn't expect was my phone buzzing with a voice message from Victoria. Her tone was all honey, like she hadn't just kicked me out. "Antonio, be a dear and pick up my parents tomorrow at the airport. Okay, flight 447, 2 p.m., baggage claim, 3, family, helps out, right?" I replayed it, stunned at her nerve. Then I saw a text from Javier to her sent right after I left. "Good call, keeping Dad out? Let's not mess up Christmas." My own son siding with her. That betrayal cut deeper than anything, and little did I know her next words would push me past my breaking point, lighting a fire I couldn't put out. I was still reeling from that voice message sitting in my dark kitchen, the coffee I'd poured long gone cold. Victoria's fake sweet tone, "Family helps out, right?" kept echoing in my head like a bad song stuck on repeat. Just hours ago, she'd smirked and told me I didn't belong at their fancy Christmas dinner. And now she had the nerve to treat me like her personal driver. My chest tightened, that old heart condition giving me a sharp jab, reminding me of all the stress I'd buried for them. I thought, maybe I could just let it slide. Talk to Javier, fix this mess. But seeing his text to her, "Good call, keeping Dad out," cut me deeper than a knife. My own son, the boy I'd raised as my own blood or not, was in on this betrayal. I felt like a fool thinking family meant something to them. Then my phone rang, Victoria's name lighting up the screen like a warning flare. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to hear her out. Maybe I was hoping for an apology, a shred of decency. What I didn't expect was how fast things would spiral. "Antonio," she purred all honey again, "you got my message about picking up my parents, right? You're free tomorrow, so it's no trouble. Don't make a fuss about earlier. It's just how things are with Mom and Dad's crowd." "Are you serious?" I said, my voice shaking despite myself. "You just banned me from Christmas, Victoria, and now you want me to play chauffeur." The words came out sharper than I meant, my heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Her laugh sliced through the line sharp as broken glass. "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. You're not on our level. Antonio, Mexican peasants like you don't fit at our table. My parents are high-class, Dad's a summa cum laude grad. Mom speaks 4 languages, they summer in the Hamptons. What do you bring? Construction stories. And let's be real. Sophia knew her place better than you. She was just a maid who lucked into marrying you, but at least she kept quiet." I froze the phone, trembling in my hand. Sophia, a maid who lucked out. My wife, the woman who'd scrubbed floors by day and studied English by night, all so we could give Javier a shot at something better. I saw her in my mind, frail from chemo, in her last months still folding clothes for Javier's care packages, whispering, "He'll need this when times are tough, Antonio." I'd skipped my own doctor visits back then, ignoring chest pains to cover their mortgage when Javier lost his job. Those pains were back now, a stab so bad I had to grip the counter to stay upright. Victoria's laugh kept going cold and cruel. "What, you gonna cry? You're weak, Antonio, just like Sophia in the end. Do what you're good for and pick them up." Her words weren't just mean. They were a calculated gut punch meant to keep me small, to protect her perfect little world, where I was just the help. No jiangse in her voice, just pure entitlement, like Sophia's sacrifices, and my love meant nothing. Javier's silence was worse. I checked my phone again, seeing another text he'd sent her. "Don't worry about Dad. You handled him. Handled me, my own son, choosing her over the man who'd given him everything." Tears burned my eyes, my throat tight like I was choking. I thought of the years I'd lived on peanut butter sandwiches, skipping new clothes, or fixing my porch, all to keep their dream house afloat. Over $250,000, gone $3,000 a month, on their mortgage for 5 years, plus down payments, utilities, and that granite kitchen Victoria needed. All from the home Sophia and I built, now eating me alive. Enough was enough. My love for Javier, for the family I thought we had, didn't deserve this. Victoria, I said, my voice low and hard, like steel, we're done pretending to be family. I hung up the silence, hitting like a door slamming shut. Something snapped inside me, not breaking, but waking up. I wasn't going to be their doormat anymore. I pulled out the manila folder from my desk, stuffed with bank statements I'd avoided for too long. Every page was a reminder of my blind devotion: $180,000 in mortgage payments, $70,000 more for their essentials. I called the bank, my hands steady now. The automated voice offered English or Spanish, ironic, right customer service. Jennifer here. How can I help? Cancel an automatic transfer, I said, calm as a storm's eye. She verified the details, no questions about why I was cutting off my son's lifeline. $3,000 monthly to Wells Fargo account, ending 7/4/23. That's the one. Effective immediately, I confirmed. Done. I gathered the papers, statements, receipts, proof of my mistakes, and took them to the fireplace, lit a match, and watched them burn, the flames dancing like they were cheering me on. The heat warmed my face, chasing away the cold that had settled in my bones. I grabbed the good whiskey, the bottle I'd saved for a day worth celebrating. Poured a glass, raised it to Sophia's photo on the mantel. "Tu us, mi amor," I whispered. It burned my throat like fire, but damn it, tasted like freedom. Then my phone buzzed again, an email from Victor, her dad. "You'll regret this, old man. You'll pay dearly." A threat. They had no idea what was coming. What they didn't know was I'd already started digging, spotting a hidden Facebook post from Victoria, hinting at a secret that had unraveled their perfect world. And trust me, the truth was darker than I could have imagined. That email from Victor sat there on my screen like a dare. "You'll pay dearly. Pay." I'd already paid more than enough. My health, my savings, my heart. I stared at it for a minute, the whiskey still burning in my gut, thinking, if they're threatening me now, what else are they hiding? What I didn't expect was how deep the rabbit hole would go. I fired up my laptop right then, starting with Victoria's Facebook. She'd blocked me ages ago, but I knew a workaround, whipped up a dummy account, nothing fancy. And boom, there it was, a hidden post, with her cozied up to some guy at a swanky restaurant, caption, "Living my best life with someone who gets me." Locked comments, but the tags led to pricey gifts, jewelry, weekend getaways that screamed way beyond Javier's paycheck. My stomach knotted. Was this where my money was really going? Digging alone felt like wading through mud, overwhelming and lonely. That's when Anna popped into my head, Sophia's old friend from the block. Another Mexican immigrant who'd scrapped her way up just like us. We'd drifted after Sophia passed, but she'd sent a card last year. "If you need to talk, Antonio, I'm here." I thought maybe now's the time. Next morning, I drove to her place in South Hills, a cozy house with a porch swing creaking in the breeze and kids' toys scattered like confetti. Anna answered with a big hug, warm and familiar, like Sophia's arms wrapping around me again. "Antonio, Dios mío, you look worn out. Come in. I'll brew some coffee, the strong stuff like Sophia used to make." We settled at her kitchen table, the aroma of fresh tortillas wafting from the stove, chasing away some of my anger for a second. I poured it all out, the Christmas snub, Victoria's voice message treating me like a cab driver, Javier's texts backing her play. Anna's face hardened when I hit the insults about Sophia. "That woman," she spat. No hesitation, just pure fire. Sophia was pure gold, Antonio. She busted her back for that boy. And this is the thanks. Anna shared her own scars. Her in-laws once dismissed her as just a cleaner, but she'd cut them loose without a backward glance. "Protect yourself," she said. "Record calls, your phone's got an app, and scour their social media. Entitled folks like them always leave breadcrumbs." Then she leaned in. "You know Victor borrowed from Sophia years back, right? Some investment scam, never repaid a dime. She hid it to spare you the worry." Her words were a punch. I showed her the Facebook post I'd found, and Anna helped me dig deeper. Turns out Victoria had a secret album of these escapes, with the guy timestamps lining up with my bill payments, hotel receipts, dinners, all on my dime. One post, "Perfect life with someone who deserves it." And Javier. I peeked at old messages from that family sharing setup. I'd forgotten about him telling her, "Don't tell Dad about your friend. He's too old to handle the truth. His weak heart couldn't take it." Too old. That boy I'd taught to value hard work, blood or not, was covering for her. His motive hit clear. No real inner conflict, just selfish fear of losing his cushy setup. It made my blood boil. How could he stab me in the back like that? But Anna had more. She hesitated, then pulled an old letter from Sophia's keepsakes she'd held on to. "Sophia wanted you to know if things turned sour." The twist knocked the wind out of me. Javier wasn't mine biologically, a slip early in our marriage, but Sophia chose me to raise him as ours. Shock washed over me first, my heart racing with that familiar twinge, like it was protesting the news. But then it settled, blood or not, he's my son, because I made him one, taught him to stack blocks like mini job sites, saying hard work builds character. Anna's eyes teared up. "That's your strength, Antonio. Use it now, plan smart." From that boiling rage at their ungratefulness, I cooled into something sharper, more calculated. The anger powered me, but my heart's warning stab reminded me to be careful, not reckless. Flashback hit me, showing little Javier how to hammer nails, even as Sophia whispered the truth to me alone. "He's ours. Antonio, love makes it so." Victoria's mocking post about my weak old man funding just fueled the fire, her cold entitlement shining through. Anna grinned a little. "Start small, skip that airport pickup. Let them taste their own medicine. It's step one to blowing it all open." I nodded, the plan clicking into place. What I didn't expect was the backlash. The airport would expose their true colors, but I had no clue how vicious it'd get or what it'd cost me in the end. I figured skipping the airport pickup would send a message, you know. Anna's advice rang in my ears. Let them taste their own medicine. And after uncovering Victoria's secrets and that gut punch about Javier not being mine by blood, I was done playing nice. The next morning, my phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. "Parents land at 2 p.m. Don't screw this up. Be there." "No, please. No thanks. Just orders, like I was her hired hand." I stared at it, my coffee turning bitter in my mouth, thinking, after all I've done driving them to doctors' airports, even Victoria's shopping sprees when I was dead tired from work, they still see me as the help. But what I didn't expect was how their entitlement would boil over. I didn't go. Instead, I brewed another cup, sat in my recliner, and flipped through an old photo album of Sophia and Javier as a kid. By 2:15, the calls started Victoria first, Then an unknown number, probably her parents. I let it ring, feeling that heart twinge, but pushing through, reminding myself, my love's for self-respect. Now, not their convenience. They waited over 2 hours at the airport. I later learned deliberately Victor claimed to teach me a lesson about respect. Finally, they grabbed a taxi, and Victor emailed me the $40 bill, pay up or else. Or else, that was just the start. Around 5 p.m., the pounding on my door shook the whole house like they were trying to break it down. I peered through the peephole, Victor, red-faced Elena, fuming, Victoria trailing with her designer coat wrinkled. I opened up, and they barged in without a hello. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Victor bellowed, jabbing a finger at my chest. "We waited in that god-forsaken airport for hours, in dangerous weather, no less. Dangerous." It was 52 degrees and sunny, but his eyes blazed with rage. No inner conflict, just pure fury at not getting his way. Elena chimed in, her lips curled. "Barbaric behavior from a Mexican like you. You're only good for driving anyway. Educated people don't tolerate this." Victoria crossed her arms, laughing that cold laugh. "See, Dad, weak as always, your sacrifices were a waste if you can't even do this." Their words hit like acid burning through me. Victor's threat to use my connections to ruin your reputation was all bluster and power play driven by his need to control. Elena's ethnic jab was pure snobbery, no remorse. And Victoria. Her laugh said it all, cold entitlement, mocking the man who'd bankrolled her life. Javier wasn't there, but I knew he'd heard. A later text from him read, "Mom's pissed, but you kinda asked for it." No defense, no "sorry, Dad," just siding with them again. That hurt worst, knowing the boy I'd driven everywhere as a kid, even when my back ached from construction, didn't have my back. My heart twinged sharp, but I stood tall, voice firm. "Get out. This is my house, and I'm done being your doormat." They stormed off, Victor yelling about consequences, Elena muttering slurs, Victoria flipping her hair like it was beneath her. I shut the door, the deadbolt clicking like a final period. Inside, I felt that shift love for Javier still there, but now channeled into self-respect, not endless giving. Next morning, it hit the paper's front page of the Spokane Review. "Local businessman abandons elderly in-laws in winter storm." Me painted as a monster who'd left them stranded in frigid conditions, a total lie cooked up with Victor's banking buddies pulling strings. Javier knew. He texted, "Saw the article rough, huh? No outrage, no support. Just neutral, like it wasn't his dad getting smeared." I sat with my coffee, the betrayal fueling a fire. What I didn't expect was how this public war would push me to plan deeper. They thought they'd break me, but I had darker evidence, waiting secrets that had turned the tables for good. That newspaper article stared back at me like a slap in the face. My photo from the business website splashed across page 3. Local businessman abandons elderly in-laws in winter storm. A total fabrication, 52 degrees, and sunny turned into a blizzard by Victor's connections. I sat there with my morning coffee, the steam curling up like question marks, thinking, this is how they fight back. Smearing my name in print. What I didn't expect was how it'd light a fire under me, turning fear into fuel. My construction business had taken a hit already. Calls from clients drying up whispers in town about my erratic behavior. But instead of crumbling, I felt a shift, that old fighter in me waking up. Anna's words echoed, "Plan smart." So I called her over and we got to work. We hunkered down at my kitchen table, laptops, open coffee mugs, steaming. Anna was a pro at this. Years of dealing with her own family drama had sharpened her. "Start with what you know," she said, her voice steady like a big sister's. I pulled up Victoria's Facebook again, the dummy account letting me snoop without a trace. There it was, post after post of her flaunting their dream home, loving our upgraded kitchen granite counters, make all the difference, tagged with hashtags like #BlessedLife. But dig a little, and the comments spilled secrets, friends asking how they afforded it. Victoria replying, "Family perks, family perks." That was my maxed-out credit card from their wedding. 5 years back. Flashback, hit me Sophia and I scraping by, but when Javier proposed, Victoria needed the big bash, $20,000 venue, catering her dress alone costing a fortune. I refinanced everything, ignored my heart doctor's warnings about stress just to see my boy happy. "It's for family," Sophia had said, squeezing my hand. Now it felt like a joke on me. Anna nudged me. "Check her emails if you can. People like her aren't careful." I'd kept access to an old shared account from when I'd helped Javier with bills. Sure enough, buried in Victoria's forwards, an email chain with a realtor plotting to convince Dad to sell his place. "It's outdated. We could use the cash to expand our lifestyle. Expand my house. Sophia's and mine, the one we'd poured our souls into." Victor chimed in, "Push him, he's soft." Cold as ice, no inner conflict, just greedy calculation to squeeze more out of me. My blood pressure spiked, that heart twinge kicking in like a reminder of what their stress had cost me already. But we weren't done. "Record everything," Anna insisted. I took a breath and called Victoria back, pretending to clear the air about the airport fiasco. "Look, maybe I overreacted," I said, voice casual, the app quietly recording. She bit her tone, switching to that fake concern. "Finally coming to your senses. Good, because my friend and I need some space. Javier doesn't suspect, but your money's been a lifesaver for our getaways." Friend. She spilled it all, admitting the affair, laughing about using my transfers for hotels and gifts. "Don't worry, Antonio Javier knows, but says, don't tell Dad he's too old, and his weak heart couldn't handle it." Javier knew and covered for her, that boy I'd taught to be honest, now lying to protect their lies. His motive was plain cold self-preservation, no real remorse, just fear of losing the easy life I'd funded. Anna's eyes widened as we replayed it. That's gold, pure proof. But just then, my email pinged another from Victor. "We know you're digging. Stop, or it gets worse." Attached was a photo of my truck outside Anna's house. He'd hired a PI. My heart raced, the room spinning a bit. I thought, they're watching me. Panic hit, afraid my business would crumble even further, my reputation in tatters. But Anna grabbed my arm. "Breathe, they're bluffing to scare you. We dodge this." We did. I parked around the block, next time used incognito modes, even switched to her Wi-Fi. It was close, that brush, with getting caught, but dodging it felt like a win, proving I could outsmart them. From that fear, I shifted to excitement, a thrill I hadn't felt in years, my heart's twinge reminding me I'd sacrificed too much, but now it fueled strategy, not surrender. Victoria didn't help her case. Another post popped up, her with a new necklace. "Spoiled by the best life's good," tagged to the guy timestamp matching a utility bill I'd covered. Spoiled on my dime while mocking me as weak old man in private comments. That entitlement, her cold glee, it made my stomach turn. By evening, the plan solidified. Gather it all, recordings, screenshots, bank proofs. I'd confront them at Christmas dinner, video in hand. What I didn't expect was how it'd unfold. They thought they had me cornered, but I had the video that had flipped the script entirely. The Christmas lights glowing from Javier and Victoria's house felt like a cruel joke, mocking the cold knot in my chest. I gripped my briefcase packed with 5 years of bank statements, screenshots, and that damning recording Anna and I had pieced together. After dodging Victor's PI and unearthing their dirty secrets, I thought, maybe I'd falter, lose my nerve at the last second. But what I didn't expect was how steady I felt, like the old Antonio, the guy who built a construction business from sweat and grit, was back in the driver's seat. I straightened my tie, the navy one I'd worn to Sophia's funeral pressed crisp for a different kind of showdown, and pushed through their unlocked front door. Victoria always bragged about their safe neighborhood guests. They never saw me coming. The dining room buzzed with holiday cheer, the clink of wine glasses, and the rich smell of roast turkey hitting me like a wall. No tamales, no trace of our family traditions. 12 guests, neighbors, colleagues, Victor's high society buddies, turned as my boots thudded on the hardwood floors I'd paid for. "Good evening, folks," I said, my voice calm but cutting through the chatter like a knife. "I'm here to set the record straight about my sacrifices." The turkey's savory scent turned my stomach sour, no sign of the Mexico I'd brought to this house. Victoria froze her wine glass, hovering mid-air, eyes wide, like I'd just walked out of a grave. Javier's fork clattered to his plate, his face draining to ash. Victor and Elena, perched at the head of the table, stiffened, their smug grins vanishing like smoke. The guests blinked curious, some leaning forward, sensing drama. I set my briefcase on their marble sideboard. Another bill I'd footed when Victoria needed an upgrade, and clicked it open. The sound sharp as a gunshot in the silence. "Before you dig into this fancy spread," I said, pulling out packets of documents, "you ought to know who really paid for it." I handed each guest a stack of bank statements showing $250,000 in transfers, mortgage payments, down payments, utilities to keep their dream house afloat, while I skipped doctor visits for my heart. 5 years, I said, my heart pounding like a jackhammer, but my voice steady as steel. I gave up vacations, ate cheap sandwiches, ignored my health to keep this roof over their heads. A memory flashed, Sophia and I planning a Hawaii getaway. We never took my wallet drained for their emergency bills instead. Her smile in my mind urged me on. "Do this for us, Antonio." Papers rustled as guests scanned the numbers. A woman in pearls gasped. "How could you treat him like this after all that?" Victoria snapped out of her daze, tossing her hair with that fake confidence. "He chose to give it. We never twisted his arm." Her voice was all cold denial, no hint of inner conflict, just a desperate bid to protect her flawless image. Victor leaned in, face red as a beet. "This guy's losing it. Don't fall for his senile garbage. Pure deflection, his motive to protect their social status clear as day." But the guests weren't buying it. Eyes narrowed, heads shook, whispers of ungrateful floating around. Javier hurt the most. He stood, voice wobbly, but siding with her dad. "You're making a fool of yourself. Don't embarrass us." Fool the boy. I'd driven to school through back pain. Who I'd raised, despite everything, was ashamed of me. His choice was ice cold, rooted in fear of losing Victoria's world, not love for his dad. It stung like hell, but I pushed through, my heart twinging sharp. "Embarrass," I said, locking eyes with him. "I gave up my dreams for you, Sophia's dreams, and you let them spit on it." The room's vibe shifted, guests turning from shock to disgust at them, not me. I raised a hand, silencing their murmurs. "Hold on," I said, my voice low and heavy. "I've got a video that'll blow this wide open." Victoria's eyes flashed panic, her mask slipping for the first time. What I didn't expect was how fast their house of cards would collapse when that truth hit. The real fireworks were coming, and they were clueless. The echoes of that Christmas dinner still rang in my ears. Gasps from the guests. Victoria's panicked eyes. Javier's weak defense crumbling under the weight of my evidence. I'd walked out of their house with my head high, the video of Victoria's affair left unplayed, but burning a hole in my pocket. I thought, maybe that'd be the end of it, that exposing their ingratitude would be enough. But what I didn't expect was how fast their perfect world would implode and how it'd bring Javier crawling back to my doorstep. The fallout was brutal, and it wasn't just about money anymore. 3 months later, spring was creeping into Spokane, the air carrying that fresh promise of new beginnings. I was sipping coffee on my porch, finally fixed with the money I wasn't sending their way anymore. My heart hadn't twinged in weeks, first time in years. I felt lighter, like I'd shed a heavy coat of pain. Then came the letter delivered by certified mail, the kind that screams trouble. I signed for it, the envelope heavy with official stamps. Notice of default, final demand for payment. Javier and Victoria's house, the one I'd propped up with $250,000 of my savings, $180,000 in mortgage payments, $70,000 in down payments, and extras, was in foreclosure. 3 months of missed payments, $9,000 in arrears, 14 days to pay or lose it all. I set the letter down, letting it sit like news about a storm in someone else's town, not my problem anymore. Victoria didn't see it that way. She tried to sue me, claiming I'd defrauded them by cutting off the mortgage payments like I owed her that house forever. Her lawyer sent threatening letters, but they had nothing, my bank statements, and that recorded call where she spilled about her affair were ironclad. The case got tossed out faster than yesterday's trash, and I heard she screamed in the courthouse, blaming everyone but herself. Her motive was pure desperation. No struggle, only what he really was, just a frantic grab to cling to her crumbling facade. I didn't feel sorry, not after she'd mocked Sophia, called me a peasant, used my money to fund her side fling. But Javier, that's where it got messy. One Thursday evening, my doorbell rang soft at first, like whoever it was didn't know if they were welcome. I opened the door to find Javier looking like he'd aged a decade in 3 months. Dark circles under his eyes, his fancy suit wrinkled, a faint whiff of desperation clinging to him like cheap cologne. "Dad," he said, voice barely above a whisper, "can we talk?" I stepped aside, letting him into my living room now, spruced up with new furniture I'd bought with my first mortgage-free paycheck. He glanced around, eyes lingering on the fresh paint, the repaired windows, things I could finally afford, since I stopped bankrolling their fantasy. "Nice place," he mumbled, perching on the edge of my couch like he didn't deserve to sit. I thought maybe he's finally waking up. I leaned back in my recliner, coffee mug in hand. "Go on, son." His shoulders slumped, and he started crying, quiet, broken sobs, like a man who'd run out of moves. "I'm so sorry, Dad," he said, "for everything, the Christmas dinner, letting Victoria and her parents treat you like that, not standing up for you. I was spineless." His voice cracked, and for a second I saw the boy I'd raised, the one I'd taught to hammer nails even knowing he wasn't mine by blood. But then he added, "Victoria pushed me, she said we had to keep her parents happy, that you'd understand." That excuse blaming her stung. It was half-hearted jiangshi, more about saving himself than owning his betrayal. He'd known about her affair, her insults, and still chose her side. That cold choice, rooted in fear of losing her world, made my blood boil all over again. I stayed calm, though my heart gave a faint twinge, a reminder of the years I'd pushed too hard for him. "Javier," I said, "you didn't just let them treat me like garbage. You helped. You knew she was cheating, using my money, and you texted her to keep me in line. You think sorry fixes that?" His face crumpled, tears streaming now. "I know, Dad. I don't deserve you. You sacrificed your whole life for me, $250,000, Mom's dreams, your health. I'm not worthy." Hearing him say it, acknowledging the weight of my sacrifices, felt like a small victory. But it didn't erase the hurt. Flashback hit me, maxing out credit cards for his wedding. Sophia smiling, despite her chemo saying, "He's our boy, Antonio." Even knowing he wasn't mine biologically, I'd poured everything into him for love, not obligation. And he'd thrown it away. I leaned forward, voice steady. "You're right. You're not worthy. Not yet. But you're still my son, blood or not. I won't pay your mortgage again, that ship's sailed. But you can crash here, start over, figure out how to stand it on your own 2 feet." It wasn't forgiveness, not fully just love with limits, teaching him what I should have years ago. Respect isn't handed out. It's earned. He nodded, eyes down, like he finally got it. Victoria. She was done with him. I heard she'd filed for divorce, packed up, and moved back to her parents' place in Portland, leaving Javier to drown in their debt. Word got around she'd laughed on her way out. "You and your pathetic dad deserve each other." No remorse, just cold venom, her motive to cut losses and run back to her high-class roots. It made my skin crawl, but it also felt like karma. She'd lost the house, the lifestyle, everything she'd built on my back. As Javier sat there broken, I felt lighter than I had in years. My sacrifices weren't wasted. They'd shown me who I was, what I could take back. But what I didn't expect was the next step. I'd been working on something bigger, a way to make sure the world knew their true colors. The story wasn't over, and soon everyone would hear it. I sat in my newly painted living room, the foreclosure notice for Javier and Victoria's house still lying on the counter like a trophy of hard-won justice. After that Christmas dinner showdown, exposing their ingratitude to a room full of their fancy friends, I thought, maybe I'd done enough, let karma do the rest. But what I didn't expect was how much further this story would go. The video of Victoria's affair, the one I'd held back that night, was burning a hole in my pocket. Anna had been pushing me. "Take it public, Antonio. Let the world see their true colors." I wasn't sure at first. Going viral felt like something kids did not. A 63-year-old guy like me. But the more I thought about Victor's threats, Victoria's cold laugh, and Javier's weak excuses, the more I realized silence wasn't justice. It was time to let the truth out. Anna came over that next weekend, her laptop ready, a mischievous glint in her eye. "You're not just fighting for you," she said, pouring us coffee that smelled like home, like Sophia's kitchen. "You're fighting for every parent who's been walked over." We edited the video together, careful to blur faces, keep it anonymous, but clear as day. Victoria's voice smug and unapologetic, admitting to the affair, laughing about using my $250,000 in sacrifices to fund her getaways. We layered in screenshots, bank transfers, her Facebook posts, flaunting our dream home I'd paid for, even that email, where she and Victor plotted to sell my house for their lifestyle upgrade. I narrated it simply, "This is what 5 years of my sacrifices got me: betrayal and lies." Anna hit upload on TikTok using some burner account she'd set up. "Now we wait?" She grinned, but I could feel my heart twinge, that old warning from too many years of stress. What I didn't expect was how fast it'd blow up. By morning, the video had thousands of views, then tens of thousands. Comments flooded in. "This dad's a hero. Those ungrateful kids deserve nothing. Parents' sacrifices are sacred. How dare they?" Each one felt like a nod to Sophia, like the world was finally seeing what we'd given. My chest swelled, not with pain this time, but with a spark of hope. Maybe I wasn't as alone as I'd felt since she'd gone. The video hit 1 million views in a week, shared across Spokane and beyond. People I didn't know sent messages. "You're an inspiration, man. Never let them walk over you." Anna laughed, slapping my shoulder. "You're a viral star, Antonio." I wasn't after fame, but damn it felt good to know the truth was out loud and clear. Karma didn't wait long to hit. Victor's precious social connections. Gone. His banking buddies, the ones who'd planted that hit piece in the Spokane Review, dropped him when the videos spread. Word got around he'd been fleecing people for years. My $250,000 wasn't the only loan he'd never repaid. His business tanked, bankruptcy papers filed by summer. Elena, his wife, holed up in their Portland mansion, cut off from her charity lunch crowd, too ashamed to show her face after being called out as the snob who'd trashed me. Victoria. She was living alone in a cheap apartment now. Her divorce from Javier final. I heard she'd tried to spin it online, posting, "Moving on to better things." But the comments tore her apart. Better things like cheating on your husband with his dad's money. Her cold, entitled front cracked no conflict, just truth exposed. Just a desperate scramble to save face, and it wasn't working. She even sent me a text begging, "Take down the video, Antonio. You've done enough damage." Damage? That was rich coming from her. I didn't reply, let her stew in the mess she'd made. But Javier was different. He'd been staying in my guest room sleeping on a cot because I wasn't about to give him the royal treatment. I thought he'd keep making excuses, blaming Victoria, like he had that night he showed up crying. But what I didn't expect was how he was starting to change. One evening, I caught him staring at Sophia's photo on the mantel, his eyes red. "Dad," he said, voice low, "I keep thinking about what Mom would say. I let you both down." There was real inner conflict there, not just self-pity, a flicker of the boy I'd raised who'd once promised to make us proud. He wasn't there yet, but he was trying, showing up to a low-paying job, learning to stand on his own. "You gave me everything," he said, "and I wasn't worthy. I'm trying to be now." Hearing that after all the hurt stirred something in me, not full forgiveness but a cautious hope, like a seed taking root. Anna was a big part of that hope. She'd been coming over more, not just as a friend anymore. Her laugh, her way of understanding my sacrifices without me saying a word, it felt like a second chance at something real. One night over tacos she'd made, she said, "You're not that broken dad anymore, Antonio. You're a fighter." Her words warmed me more than the whiskey ever did, reminding me I'd climbed out of that dark place. The comments on the video kept coming, one sticking with me. "Parents' sacrifices are sacred. Never betray that." It was like Sophia was speaking through them, validating every sleepless night, every missed doctor's visit, every dollar I'd poured into Javier's life. My heart felt lighter, the twinge quieter, like it knew I was finally living for me. But the story wasn't over. Javier was changing bit by bit, and I had a feeling the next Christmas would be different. What I didn't expect was how it'd unfold or what it'd mean for us both. A year had passed since that explosive Christmas dinner where I'd laid bare Javier and Victoria's betrayal in front of their high society guests. The viral TikTok video that followed spilling their secrets to the world had brought me a strange kind of peace, knowing the truth was out, that my sacrifices weren't invisible anymore. I thought, maybe I'd spend this Christmas alone, sipping whiskey and toasting Sophia's memory. But what I didn't expect was how different this holiday would feel, how it'd bring a warmth I hadn't known since she was alive. Javier was still bunking in my guest room, scraping by on a warehouse job, trying to rebuild, after losing the house I'd once bankrolled. Anna's words stuck with me. "You're a fighter now, Antonio," and I was starting to believe her. Christmas Eve dawned crisp and clear, the Spokane air carrying that sharp bite that made you crave a warm kitchen. I'd invited my sister Rosa and her kids over, plus Anna, who'd become more than a friend these past months. Her laugh, her way of getting my pain without me spelling it out, it felt like a second chance at something real. I was in the kitchen rolling out dough for tamales, the smell of masa and chili filling the house like Sophia's spirit was right there with me. I thought I'd be the one cooking like always, but Javier surprised me. He shuffled in sleeves rolled up and started mixing the filling, his hands clumsy but earnest, like he was trying to prove something. "Dad," he said, voice quiet, "let me help. I want to make these right, like Mom taught us." I froze, watching him. This was the kid I'd raised blood or not, the one I'd taught to stack blocks and swing a hammer, who'd turned his back on me for Victoria's world. But now, his eyes had a glint of inner conflict, real regret, not the half-assed excuses from before. "I'm sorry, Dad," he said, not looking up from the tamales, "for everything Christmas last year, letting Victoria and her parents trash you, not standing up when I knew better. I'll never let anyone disrespect your sacrifices again." His voice broke, and I saw it, the boy I'd loved trying to claw his way back. His motive wasn't just survival anymore. It was redemption, a need to earn back the trust he'd shattered. It stirred something in me, not full forgiveness, but a cautious warmth, like a fire starting to catch. Rosa arrived with her kids, their chatter filling the house with life I'd missed. Anna followed carrying a pan of flan, her smile lighting up the room like the star on our tree. We set the table together, tamales steaming, the kids giggling as they sneaked bites. Rosa pulled me aside, her eyes soft. "Antonio, you sacrificed everything for Javier, your heart, your home, Sophia's dreams. And now you're getting justice, building a real family again." Her words hit deep, like a nod to Sophia's memory. My heart, that old troublemaker, felt steady. No twinges tonight, like it knew I was finally surrounded by people who saw me. Victoria, though, she was a ghost, now haunting her own mistakes. Word around town was she'd holed up in a dingy Portland apartment, her social media gone quiet after the TikTok video tore her perfect life apart. I heard she'd tried to play the victim online. Posting life's tough, but I'm stronger. Stronger, that was rich. The comments ripped her to shreds, stronger than cheating with a guy on your father-in-law's dime. She was alone. No friends, no fancy crowd. Her cold, entitled mask finally cracked. No inner conflict, just a bitter lesson learned too late. She'd laughed at Javier and me, saying we deserved each other, but now she was the one left with nothing. Karma, right. As we sat down to eat, Javier spoke up, his voice stronger now. "Dad, I don't deserve this, your home, your forgiveness. You gave me everything, even knowing I wasn't yours by blood. I was a fool to throw it away." His words echoed the TikTok comments that had flooded in. "Parents' sacrifices are sacred. Don't betray that." Hearing him own it, admit he wasn't worthy, felt like a weight lifting. I didn't let him off easy, though. "You're right, Javier," I said, my voice firm but not cruel. "You've got a long road to earn this back. But you're here trying. That's a start." He nodded, eyes down, carrying that regret, but showing a spark of the man I'd hoped he'd be. Anna squeezed my hand under the table, her warmth grounding me. She'd been there through it all, from digging up Victoria's lies to cheering me on when the video went viral. Over Flan, she leaned in, whispering, "You're not that broken dad anymore, Antonio. You're home, home." That word hit different now, surrounded by Rosa's kids, Javier's quiet effort, Anna's smile. My heart felt full, not with pain, but with something new, hope, maybe even love. What I didn't expect was how this Christmas would set the stage for what's next. Javier was changing. Anna was becoming my anchor, and I felt ready for whatever came. But life's full of surprises, and I had a hunch the road ahead would hold a few more twists. The warmth of that Christmas dinner with Rosa, Anna, and Javier lingered in my bones like a fire I hadn't felt since Sofia was alive. Javier's clumsy tamales, Anna's flan, Rosa's kids giggling. It was the kind of family I'd thought I'd lost forever. I figured, maybe that night was the peak, the end of my fight. But what I didn't expect was how it'd lead me to a quiet moment of clarity, one that tied up all the pain and betrayal into something I could hold on to. Sitting on my back porch that spring, Spokane's trees budding with new life, I realized this wasn't just about winning, it was about learning who I was after all the dust settled. I leaned back in my old chair, the one Sofia used to love, a glass of that good whiskey in my hand, the bottle I'd saved for years, now half empty from moments of hard-won freedom. The air smelled of fresh grass, a far cry from the cold December nights when I'd felt like a stranger in my own life. I looked at Sofia's photo on the mantel, her smile soft but fierce, like she was cheering me on through it all. "What would you think of me now, mi amor?" I whispered, my voice catching. I'd spent 8 years since she passed, pouring everything into Javier, $250,000 in mortgage payments, down payments, wedding bills, all while my heart condition worsened from stress. I'd thought love meant giving until you're empty, but I was wrong. Parents' sacrifices are priceless, but they're only worth it if you teach your kids gratitude, not entitlement. Javier was changing bit by bit. He'd been living in my guest room, working a steady job now, no longer the guy who'd let Victoria and her parents walk all over me. One night he sat me down, eyes heavy with real regret, not the half-assed excuses from before. "Dad," he said, "I was a fool. You gave me everything, even knowing I wasn't yours to buy blood. I let them trash you, trash Mom's memory. I'm trying to be better, to deserve you." His voice shook, and I saw it, the boy I'd taught to swing a hammer, now fighting to rebuild himself. His motive wasn't just survival anymore, it was redemption, a need to prove he could honor the love I'd given. It didn't erase the hurt, but it felt like a start, like a bridge we could rebuild step by careful step. Victoria, though, she was a ghost now, haunting her own mistakes. Word got around she was holed up in a dingy Portland apartment, her social media dead, after that TikTok video tore her world apart. I heard she'd called friends crying, trying to play the victim, but they'd turned their backs. Her high-class crowd didn't want the stench of her scandal. One rumor said she'd left a voicemail for Javier, bitter and cold. "You and your pathetic dad got what you deserved." No remorse, just the same old entitlement, blaming everyone but herself for losing it all. Her house, her marriage, her fake perfect life. Victor and Elena weren't doing better. His bankruptcy hit the local news, their fancy connections gone. Elena too ashamed to leave her gated mansion. Their arrogance, that smug belief they were above folks like me, had cost them everything. Karma didn't just knock, it kicked their door down. Anna was my anchor through it all. She'd started staying over more, not just as the friend who'd helped me dig up the truth, but as something deeper. Over coffee one morning, she looked at me, her eyes warm like Sofia's used to be. "You're not that broken dad anymore, Antonio," she said. "You fought for your dignity and you won. Her words hit like a warm breeze, chasing away the last of that old heart twinge. I wasn't cured. Doc said I'd always need to watch it, but for the first time in years, I felt steady like my heart knew I was finally living for me. The TikTok comments still rolled in months later. Parents' sacrifices are sacred. Never betray that. Each one felt like a nod to Sophia. To every late night I'd worked, every doctor's visit I'd skipped, every dollar I'd sent to keep Javier's life afloat. Parents' sacrifices are priceless, I thought. But it's only worth it if you teach your kids to be grateful. I'd spent years being a doormat, thinking love meant giving until you break. But standing up, cutting off their mortgage, exposing their lies, finding people like Anna and Rosa who saw me, for me, that's what made me whole again. I raised my whiskey glass to Sophia's photo, the amber catching the light like a spark of victory. Our love wasn't wasted, mi amor, I said, my voice steady, now proud. Even with all the betrayal it brought me here, I was 63, free, stronger than ever. Javier was learning, Anna was by my side, and Rosa's family filled my house with laughter. The future, who knows what it holds? But I'm ready for it, stronger than they'll ever know. If this story hit you hard, if you've ever had to fight for your worth, drop a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe too. Let's keep these real stories alive, because we all deserve a shot at justice and a family that lifts us up. Ever had to stand up and rewrite your story? I'm betting you have. I stood on my porch, the Spokane sunset, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. A quiet promise of new beginnings. The journey from that gut-wrenching Christmas ban to this moment where I'd found my strength rebuilt with Rosa Anna and a changed Javier taught me something I'll carry forever. Love is priceless, but it's only worth giving when it's met with respect. The sacrifices of parents are priceless, like Sophia and I poured into Javier, but it's on us to teach our kids gratitude, not entitlement. I thought I'd lost everything, but what I didn't expect was how standing up for myself would bring me a family that truly saw me, a family worth fighting for. If this story hit you in the gut, if you've ever felt betrayed or fought for your own worth, drop a like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe too. Let's keep these real stories alive, because we all deserve a shot at justice and a family that lifts us up. Who knows what's next for me, but I'm ready, stronger than ever. How about you? Ever had to stand up and rewrite your story?